Hello.
Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast where we boldly go into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and let me blow your mind right off the top here. Why isn't Jess Bush voicing the computer?
Oh, wow. Excellent question.
Thank you. That voice that you hear is my co-host on the Just Enough Trope podcast. She's also the host of the Sailor Noob podcast, and she's a frequent Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage guest. It's Mika Hana. Mika, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It is great to have you here. Ella is on assignment tonight, and a Spock episode too. So,
yeah. Ooh, bad timing.
We'll have to we'll get her impressions when she returns next week. But it's so great to have you here.
Well, it's so.
I don't mean to be talking
here.
about another host while you're on the show.
I guess I'll just see myself out. No.
It's great to have you here, and I'm glad that we are here to talk about Star Trek. And I'm also glad that we sometimes don't talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, me
because
too.
we have another podcast.
We do.
Called Just Enough Trope.
We do have another podcast called
which has been seeing some big changes recently.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, we're focusing.
Have I set you up enough?
Yes, we're focusing. We're zeroing in on tropes. We're
zeroing in.
We're taking a magnifying glass and
we are. What is a trope?
So a trope is, it can be, I always feel like when somebody actually asks me this, it's like hard for me to describe in words,
like stuff.
But I know it when I see it.
What'd you do in school today?
Oh God, I know. Mm-hmm. It is an element in like fiction that is repeated and often like overused. Like a damsel in distress, for example, is a trope that's used a lot.
Are they all related to women?
No.
Feels like that sometimes.
Thankfully. Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is?
Men don't know how to write women?
Men don't know how to write women.
Yeah.
And sometimes male writers can be misogynistic.
Oh.
You know, and be like, oh, a woman, all emotional, can't help herself at all. You know.
She gets saved at the end. If he was really misogynist, she wouldn't get saved. Bowser would eat Prince or something, or Peach. She'd just...
Well, you just said Bowser would eat Prince, and I'm just imagining Prince. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So anyway.
Be a whole different song.
Talk about what we talked about on the show. I don't know where we're going.
Yeah. So our first show was all about doing a Die Hard. And we talked about all of the Die Hard movies and like also like what makes something doing a Die Hard, like, because there are other movies that kind of have done that trope, right?
Yeah.
Like you are stuck in one place and there's all of these people out to get you.
Something that and you're low on ammo. And
right.
You're
not even supposed to be here
HVAC
today.
vents might be involved.
Right.
Something that I wish that we talked about, and going forward, tell me what we've talked about on that episode, and then tell me the one thing that you learned, because we've got a lot of, otherwise we'll be here all night.
Okay.
But one thing that I'll add is that I wish that we had talked about non-action diehards. There has to be like comedy diehards or like a dramatic diehard.
Yeah.
Where a character is trying to accomplish something, but they are continually blocked and stymied by other characters, and they have to find an advantage. They're outnumbered in a social situation, maybe.
See, I really like this idea.
It's too late. We already made a bad version of the show. We should have put that in.
But we should have. But one thing that you did bring up, which I think was a really good point, is you asked me if I thought Home Alone was a diehard, which I had not thought of until you brought it up on the show. And I was like, oh,
there's a debate.
It kind of is.
It kind of is. But also, I don't think that...
He's outnumbered.
I'm not sure that it is, though. Because he has home court advantage. It's his house.
That's true.
And he's rich.
Yes.
He lives in,
He is supposed to be there.
Kenilworth or something like that.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. So, anyway, the second... I already know.
Yes.
I already know the answer. I'm like Julia Child. No, I've got this. It's right here.
Did you already know, or did you come back in time?
The second episode that we did was a time loop. I've been here before.
Yes.
What's something you learned about time loop? Films, stories, TV shows, time loop in media that you didn't know before.
Well, I mean, look, sometimes it's done really, really well, like Groundhog Day and
Time Crimes. Did you like that one?
Time Crimes. Yes, it's dark. It's very, very dark. And sometimes it's like not so done good. So well. And then then there's also like stuff like Looper, which is like, is this really a time loop movie?
Yeah, what makes a time loop?
Yeah, right. And like, also, does it like you have to repeat the same sort of thing? Or like, I think something that came up on the show was, does Peggy Sue Got Married? Is that a time loop?
It's one time loop.
Right.
Just one.
But like, is that enough? Or does it have to be like multiple? Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it is multiple. She lived that twice.
Yeah, you're right. She did live that twice.
The third one was about
superheroes,
but specifically
fighting each other.
Why do superheroes always fight when they first meet?
Yes, and the example of that is prevalent in my mind, anyways.
That guy saved somebody from a building. Get him!
Yeah,
punch. Oh, you're a good guy. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I always think of like Batman versus Superman, but
well, that's different.
It is different
because they've in both the comic version and the movie version. Actually, not in the movie version, but whatever. My point stands. Even though only half the data supports my hypothesis, it stands. They knew each other for a long time.
Yes.
It's a long simmering conflict.
Yes.
And you could argue in the film, the forces which they equally represent have been simmering for a long time.
Yes.
So.
Well, then we read The Dark Knight Returns.
Even though we see them meet in the film, because Jesse Eisenberg, who's playing, I didn't catch the name of his character, but he's like, oh, look at that. Oh, Clark Kent meets Bruce Wayne. Oh, who'd have thought?
He's like an evil Muppet.
He is.
It's just, and you just
I've heard him say that about himself.
I'm an evil Muppet.
That's what I was going for. The fourth episode.
Yes, the fourth
like
episode was giant robots.
Giant robots.
They're such a huge thing, and
they're huge. Good.
They are huge.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I realized is a lot of these
they're mainly
stories,
Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
almost exclusively Japanese.
Originated the trope, but like have since propagated it.
And when Guillermo del Toro is trying to fill out all the squares on his, what do you say, bingo? In Spanish? It's right, it's bingo. And his bingo card, he's really just homaging Japanese films of the same
100%.
ilk.
Yeah, it's like kaiju and giant robots. So there you go.
The two great tastes.
That taste great together.
What was the fifth episode?
The fifth one is something that I believe you dubbed Mr. Protagonist.
Yes.
And this is about video games, how there are so many video game protagonists that are white men with brown hair that are in like middle age, like the 30s, 40s.
Less than this.
Yeah, right.
Why
So,
are they in their 30s or 40s?
I don't know.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, okay. Maybe they're in their 20s.
Well,
whatever.
If they've been around, like Nathan Drake has been around for 20 years now, so if he's going to be a thief's end, he's like, oh, Sally, give me that ibuprofen. Yeah, they're a little older, and I think that it goes back to, and this isn't necessarily the definitive answer, but you know how we said a lot of like men write TV shows? Even more men write video games. And
100%.
that's changing. That's changing. We talk about
Good.
that on the show. But
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Maybe what's going on there. Also, just the demographic that they think they're aiming at.
White males.
Well, it's funny that you can still make a movie about, let's say, an elderly couple who is experiencing dementia together. I'm sorry, I just randomly, I'm going to describe the latest Gaspar Noé movie. But if Hollywood had their way, they're aiming at the 18 to 35s, you know, with disposable income. So every movie would just be two 18 to 35-year-olds with money falling out of their pockets, and it would be called Buy Things, the movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
capitalism is great.
I don't know why video games are so like that, but yet movies are like, yeah, but you want to hear about the girl who sang with the Charades or whatever. What was the 6th episode about?
The 6th episode just came out this week, and we called it The Tonight Show because we talked about a trope in music. Ending a chorus with the word tonight happens a lot.
In China. Tonight.
Did I sound like Trump?
I did everything right and they said tonight. We've ruined the chance to talk about this episode now, unfortunately.
Oh my god.
But
oh
yeah,
my god.
Start listening to songs on the radio. You'll be blown away. You'll find out that this has been everywhere the entire time. It's like you're seeing the bad pop song Matrix.
Yes.
But anyway, all
I
of
had
this
to be
and more.
convinced.
All of this and more. Is it okay to end the segment now?
Yes.
All of this and more. I have to do this. It's a Jedi mind trick. All of this and more can be yours if you go to justenough.trope.com or find Just Enough Trope on your listening platform of choice.
I'm so sorry.
It's an excellent show. And we often talk over each other during the show. Let's talk about the news. And there is, there's a lot of bad news. But there's some good news.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right.
And so,
what's the good news?
What do you want first?
The good news?
The good news.
Yeah.
The good news is you're fired. No.
Oh my god.
The good news is that Strange New Worlds is doing great.
Okay.
In streaming. It's the Nielsen streaming charts has said of June 12th, so they're a little behind. But last month, Strange New Worlds has made it into the top 10 chart of streaming.
Okay.
Along with other rarefied air, sharing that rarefied air with Black Mirror.
Ugh.
Manifest.
Okay. I know what that is because...
You do?
Yes, because my mom and my sister watch it.
Okay.
That's how I know.
Well, then we're just out of touch. Never Have I Ever.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Ted Lasso.
Of course.
Fubar.
That's the Arnold Schwarzenegger
that
show
is.
on Netflix.
Fubar. The Surrogacy. They
No
spelled
idea.
surrogacy wrong in this. Yeah.
Okay.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds at number 7.
Okay.
Tex-Mex Motors.
No idea.
Gabby's Dollhouse. And Arnold? So wait, Fubar is the Arnold show.
Yeah.
Is this Arnold like Arnold?
Great question. Are there 2 Arnold Schwarzenegger
No,
shows?
no. I mean, isn't Arnold is a kid's show, right? Arnold.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's a kid's show.
Okay.
So anyway, 8 of those are Netflix. 1 is Apple TV, Ted Lasso, and 1 is Paramount Plus.
Well, kudos to Strange New Worlds. That's exciting.
I think Star Trek Picard was in 9th place when its finale came out in May. So that charted, and this is charted as well. And it's weird because, like, I don't know if this is new or not, because there's all these different companies that aren't Nielsen. Nielsen traditionally is the ratings company, right?
Yeah.
Remember when they mailed me $1? I can't tell the story. Can't tell. No time. But like, so I feel like they were behind on this, right? Because there's like Parrot, Analytics. There's all these different companies, but now there's the Nielsen one, and they're going by the number of episodes and the minutes. So somehow the number of episodes, the minutes they are, and the minutes watched all turns into you are number 7.
That's really interesting because I feel like for how long have streaming been really popular now? Like
a while.
10
Although,
years at least.
We'll talk about,
yeah,
not long enough.
But yeah, I know. But like, I feel like for a really long time, people have been like, well, there's just no way to tell, how popular something is, or, or like what the ratings are. And we used to use the Nielsen's on broadcast TV all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know why it took them so long to get everything together to do this.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Nielsen, you're leaving money on the table here.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
People don't want to let go of their
broadcast
thing, right?
Yeah.
If General Motors had cared or thought ahead, they would have, and they could do it in secret to not erode user confidence. They could have really worked on an electric engine, and the second somebody went, so look at that data. Is the climate changing? They go, oh gosh, well, we've got, you didn't even hear it. It's so silent. It's an electric car.
Yeah.
But they have to be forced to do that, and they fight back at every turn to try and make the transition to electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten better recently, but only very recently.
Yeah.
And mostly because I think Elon Musk has proved that, that there is a marketplace, even though his cars are essentially luxury cars. There is room in the marketplace. Plus, they also let him, this is not what this show is supposed to be about, they also let him spend the money. He didn't really spend the money. It's the government's money. But anyway, come up with the charging standard, and now they're all ready to accept his charging standard. So they're going to, instead of having to come up with Ford charging things, they're Tesla charging things, which they'll just have a plug that fits the Tesla thing. So it's his infrastructure, and they can just go off of his grid. But again, that's like, why not do we want to have competing electric stations?
Right. Electric
Mobil, Electric BP, I don't know. But
I don't know.
They haven't thought about any of this because they're too busy stacking yachts or something like that.
Right.
Let's go back to some good news. There are some really great news. The International Association of Media Tie-In Writers have announced the nominees for their Scribe Awards.
Oh.
Something they do every year. This is for books that are for tie-in media for properties like Star Trek and TV shows and things like that.
Sure.
And in the category of Best Original Novel, Speculative, 3 Star Trek books have been nominated.
Wow.
One is Harm's Way by friend of the show, David Mack.
Nice.
One is The High Country by friend of the show, John Jackson Miller.
Very nice.
And one is A Dangerous Trade by former show guest Cassandra Rose Clark.
Very cool.
I'm not unfriendly with her. I've just only talked to her like once. The first is a TOS novel. The second is a Star Trek Strange New Worlds novel. And the third is a Prodigy novel.
Prodigy. I'd be interested in reading any of those, but I'm really curious about the Prodigy novel.
That's actually was nominated for the Best Young Adult Middle Grade Novel.
You're kidding. Gosh, do you think they'll keep on doing Prodigy tie-in media?
No, I don't. I don't think they will, and let's just dive into it. Let's talk about it. This is an adjacent story, basically, but I think they're connected. Mm-hmm. So the actors are on strike, everybody. It was announced today, just a few hours ago. They are going on strike.
Good for them.
Part of that means that they can't appear at premieres. So good thing that, do you think they sped up the Mission Impossible premiere to get that out? But
Maybe.
They won't. Yeah, there will be no red carpet at Oppenheimer. I don't know if Barbie's happened yet already, but there won't be one for that. And so, yeah, you can't do promos, commercials, any kind of
that's major
appearances. And so, yeah, they are joining the writers on the striking line. What do you think?
I think that is really, really powerful.
Me too.
And I think that shows great solidarity among the artists.
Me too.
And
now I'm going to give you some bad news.
Oh, God.
So we've got some
I'm
information.
scared.
And I don't know if you saw Fran Drescher's speech, but it's
No.
a good speech.
Okay.
She's has some high position in the Actors Union.
Fran Drescher?
She might be the president. I'm not sure. But it's not good. And these leaked documents or these sort of like leaked texts came out about how the studio strategy was, we'll just wait till, everybody's broke and everybody's defaulting on their mortgage, and they'll crumble for the writers, right? And so that came out like a couple hours before the actors union was like, okay, screw you guys. They had a deal in place, but parts of the deal have also been leaked or just released. And one of them was like, a lot of people say like, oh, does Brad Pitt need more money? Brad Pitt is 1.00000. Actually, cut the one. He is 0.00000% of what people earn as far as actors go. Every face that you see on a screen is an actor.
Yes.
Literally everybody. Every voice that you hear is an actor. They're all performers.
Yes.
And very few of them make all that much money. Your stars on Strange New Worlds, depending on how long they've done this for, and how good their agents are, might not make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know your situation. You might make more money than the people that you watch on TV.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they wanted to do, and this was in the AMT&P, this was in their proposal, their offer, is that they wanted to have a system for extras where you would get like $100 or some nominal fee. They would scan your face, and then they would use you as an extra in perpetuity.
No.
They're trying to eliminate background actors because they know they can't fake yet a Brad Pitt, but they know they can fake a blurry face in the background.
You're telling me.
So they want to make.
You're telling me you're going to pay me $100 once.
How about $200?
And then you're going to take my likeness, and I'm not going to get paid for it.
$500.
No.
Yeah, they're trying to eliminate.
No.
Most of the actors
That's
that you
BS.
see on TV, even though you don't really realize you're seeing them, they're there to make a scene real.
Yes.
And they don't get paid a lot already.
No, they don't.
So how about they pay them once and then we never pay them again? There's a movie, and I don't go see it. It's not a good movie. It was an interesting idea. It's poorly executed.
Okay.
But there's a movie called The Congress, I believe it's called.
Okay.
And in it, Robin Wright plays Robin Wright, an actress.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I know who Robin Wright is.
My Wesley. Done. Now she knows. So anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Duh.
And she's playing herself. And so very brave of her. But in real life, she's getting less parts because she's older, and Hollywood hates older women. Yeah. But that's what's happening to her in the movie. And then somebody comes to her. I think it's Bobby Cannavale comes to her and says, we'll give you like $100 million. You will never have to work again. And we want to scan you, and we're going to use you like in perpetuity. So they're kind of offering her this idea. And at the time, people were like, what? We're there. We're in the Congress.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We're in a bad Robin Wright movie.
Yeah. Great.
That was the bad news.
I am not excited about that. I am excited about the actors going on strike because I think they will help push both of those strikes forward because they are the face of entertainment, literally. And they're what people associate with like TV and movies, even though if the writers didn't write, there would be no entertainment as far as TV and movies go.
Yeah.
But because you don't see it, people don't think about it as much. And I just feel like the actors in
Nobody thinks about it.
No.
Well, we do.
We do.
I do.
I do.
I shouldn't. I would enjoy this a lot more if I didn't. But we're not talking about the episode yet.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I agree with your sentiments. And then one last news item, and this is a really sad news item. Manny Cotto has passed away at the age of 62. And if you're not familiar with that name, I understand you don't think about who the writers are. But Manny Cotto was a writer, Emmy-winning writer and producer on Star Trek, specifically on Enterprise. He was a big part of making the fourth season of Enterprise. Remember the course correct? When Enterprise got more TOS-y at the end?
Yeah.
And more serialized at the end of the fourth season, or at the end of the show. He was a big part behind that. And one of the reasons is that, he was a very talented writer. He was a very nice guy, but he just loved Star Trek. Yeah. And so he was picked specifically because they're like, you got a guy that has to know Star Trek. Bring this guy on. He's going to fix it. And so he had a love for that throughout his entire life. It's just gone too soon.
That's really sad. That's very young.
He also worked on 24. I think he was a writer on 24, and then like a producer at some point on every version of the the movies and every part of the 24 kind of franchise.
Wait, time out. There are 24 movies?
Yes, Jack is in Africa, and some warlords are coming in, and he's got 2 hours. The movie's in real time. He's got 2 hours to solve this problem in Africa.
Shut up. Seriously?
Yeah.
There's more than one?
There's only one.
Okay.
There might be 2. I kind of left 24 in the 11th season or whatever it was.
I didn't know there was more than one.
I don't think I made it. I didn't make it through the UK season, and I did not watch the reboot.
Okay.
So
anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't really watch 24, and whenever I think about it, I just think of the Calorie Mate commercial from Japan when he's on the train with all of the schoolgirls and he's like trying to get through.
Not as hot as it sounds.
No, it's not.
And he's
Funny
pushing,
commercial,
and he's
though.
pushing his way through.
Yeah.
Which is both. It makes sense and it doesn't make sense because Jack Bauer is always pushing his way through a crowd,
right,
yelling into his ear.
Right.
Then you're in Japan where you'd think, oh, he'd have plenty of crowds to push through. He's in Japan. They push the people on the train.
Yeah.
But because it's a commercial and the Japanese don't want their trains to seem crowded, there's like 8 or 9 schoolgirls on this. But he's still like, oh, gotta get through.
It's like swaying back and
these
forth.
Tiny 14-year-olds.
Like the train is like veering.
I'm
on
running
the
out
track.
of energy.
Yeah.
Calorie Mate.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that's a good tribute to Manny, but
he would have loved it.
He will be missed. He will definitely be missed.
He will be missed.
Let's get to what we're supposed to be talking about this week. That is the 5th episode of the 2nd season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, an episode called Charades, or is it Charades? We're here to talk all about it. First, as always, a warning. We're setting a course for the spoiler zone, listeners, so be warned. We're glad you decided to join us, but if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Charades. Feels better. Charades. How does Riker say it when he says, I say we end this charade? I think he says charade.
I think it's charade. Yeah.
Somebody, but Picard would say charade. The official synopsis is, a shuttle accident leads to Spock's Vulcan DNA being removed by aliens, making him fully human and completely unprepared to face T'Pring's family during an important ceremonial dinner. The episode was written by Catherine Lynn and Henry Alonso Myers. It was directed by Jordan Canning, and the stardate for the episode is 1789.3. And there's no real trivia to talk about here in the episode, other than we have seen a human Spock before on the show.
Oh.
Do you remember this?
No.
Beginning of episode 5, Amok Spock Amok, where he has a dream that he is fighting himself in the Kaltor Vey.
Right. Okay.
And he's got he's
Okay.
got bigger hair. They hadn't committed to the bowl cut at that point, or maybe that's just his human hair. And then I thought, like, I usually get these trivia bits from Memory Alpha, and I thought, like, is it bad to over-explain things to your audience? But one of the trivia bits is, the term charade not only refers to the game, which is played in the show as a stalling measure, but to the acts of pretense performed to hide Spock's changes. And I'm like, okay, let's keep explaining things. Let's keep explaining things to people. Apparently.
Seriously?
I feel like Wonko the Sane.
Seriously?
You know Wonko the Sane?
Mm-mm.
He's the only sane person in the world. He lives in the asylum, which, he lives inside of a house where the walls go out because the world is the asylum and he lives outside of it.
Okay.
It's from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay. I need to, reread those books.
Actually, it's from Mostly Harmless, which is the 4th book in the increasingly inaccurately named Hitchhiker's Guide trilogy. But, and they ask him, why are you insane? And he gives them a box of toothpicks. And on the toothpick box is instructions. Take stick. Put in gum. Move vigorously. And he's like, when I saw that, I knew I was the only sane person in the world. So that's how I feel. But it's an old party game. Maybe people don't know what charades is.
How do you not
or
know
charades.
what charades is?
What'd you think about charades?
I feel like saying que sera, sera. I'm going to be honest. My favorite parts were the scenes with Spock and Chapel together. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I know we had several scenes with them together, but I think we could have had more. Like, you brought up a really good point. At one point, at one point he's talking to Lon about his human emotions.
Lon has a really good, and you look at this show, it's filled with a bunch of people that you don't really know, and that's been true of all Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
Except for anything that Kate Mulgrew's on. And because we know she's Mrs. Columbo.
We do.
But like, she's got a good agent. And like, I like Christina Chong, but like, is she the most famous person on this show and I don't know it? Because they put her in every scene.
Yeah, they do.
And there's a lot of scenes where
she's in more than Ethan Peck is.
Like, they even brought Sam's back. They brought Sam back.
I know.
To get yelled at, but he could have been in that shuttle looking at stuff. This is a science guy, right?
Yeah.
Later on, Spock's like, I've got these emotions. I'll talk to Lon. We all know that Lon has great control over her emotions.
We know that Lon is in touch with her emotions.
So yeah, I agree with you. That would be a part where he could go talk to Chapel.
He could go talk to her. We could have seen him like come in while she's working on the experiment, and like, we're seeing him not being able to deal with all these emotions. He's anxious. He could be like, well, what are you doing? What can you do? Can I help you?
If you're gonna If you're gonna appropriate my idea, let's go the whole way with my idea.
All right, fine.
My idea is, why are Spock and Chapel apart the entire episode?
Yeah.
And you say to me, because of the charades. And I know about the charades, but I'm saying doing a guess who's beaming to dinner along with hey, we're the trope people.
Will they, won't they?
Will they, won't they? But regarding Henry.
I haven't seen regarding
any situation where a character's like nicer or different. Flowers for Algernon, and then they're going to go back. Maybe don't jam that together with a guess who's coming to dinner type thing.
Yeah.
And so they're apart for the entire episode.
Yeah.
And it's also, spoilers incoming, it's also they can just bone and kiss at the end of the episode.
They could have been together and then
this
bone
is the
and
thing
kiss
where
at
you
the
have,
end of the episode.
They feel things for each other.
Yeah.
And they're apart because of his
engagement.
Abstemiousness, also his engagement. I don't know what's holding her back. I don't know why she's just not going after this guy.
She's being
respectful. She respects it.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
But this is where you have them work on the cure together and get closer because of it.
Yeah.
Then this is old Trek would have done this. And then at the midway point, they got the cure. But now he doesn't want to take it. We've done this with
see, that's great.
Tuvok. We did this with Riker's been body swapped or body massaged or whatever. We've done this before. And then it becomes a thing of like, no, this is the way you were. It's like, I like who I am now. This is a Neelix.
Yeah.
They're just doing Neelix is coming to dinner. Write that down. Right? But instead they keep them apart the entire time.
Yeah.
And all we get out of it is like a, okay, kind of guess who's coming to dinner type thing.
I'm disappointed that they kept them apart as much as they did, because I think I like Jess Bush and Ethan Peck. I think are
Jess Bush is magic.
Oh my God,
and
she is fantastic.
So sad that she is going to turn into Majel Barrett.
Me too.
Majel Barrett is a different kind of magic.
Yeah.
But not really as
computer magic?
Not really as Chapel.
No.
And so at this point, speaking of, can you do a reverse Flowers to Algernon? She gets hit in the head. How does Chapel become Chapel?
I don't want to think about it.
I don't. Are they thinking about it?
I don't think they are.
Because they took some big steps this week away from plausibility for that. I hate to think that, because we were watching the episode and we were trying to figure out like how old Chapel is, because she looks young. Yeah. She is young. But
she's young.
They're trying to say that she's young enough that like, she would take like a fellowship, or she's not kind of set in her career yet.
Sure.
But at the same time, she's not.
Well, she could be like.
I have no idea how this works. If she is in Starfleet or she is like working as a contractor for Starfleet. I think that's the idea that we got, that she doesn't have a rank, because she has no rank.
Maybe, yeah.
So she's just like a civilian personnel who has like a, who works, has clearance and works with them.
Right.
So she could leave at any time. That's why she's entertaining this idea.
Sure.
She's young enough to entertain this idea, but yet she's been through a war and she's got like mad MMA skills.
We learned a lot in that first episode.
Yeah, I think the other writers who didn't write that script learned a lot. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Filling out her character sheet, right?
Yeah. And so she's kind of been on the ship and been with Mabenga for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so now fast forward 10 years and she's on Kirk's Enterprise.
Yeah.
And she's like some lovelorn early middle-aged woman who's I wish Spock would look at me. Oh God.
Yeah.
What do they reprimand her, remonstrate her, rescind her?
Does she regress? I don't.
I'm just gonna break in and say the word remediate her.
Oh, okay.
Wrongly. What if she did? She came back from the blue yellow conversation. And she's like,
God.
Spock, oh, so good to see you. And he's like,
stop.
She paid a high price. Yeah, give me that.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you what I think.
I find it really hard to reconcile like how awesome Jess Bush is to
I just said that.
I know, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So
I'll tell you what I thought.
Yeah.
Because you asked. I can't answer the question you didn't ask. Because I disagree.
What do you think?
I disagree with this episode. I reject the entire premise of the episode.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that your biology makes you who you are.
I don't think it does either.
And I think a lot of people agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't accept the premise of the episode. I think unfortunately the entire episode is completely structurally balanced on the idea that you are who you are because of your biology and not because of who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like they, at some point in the writing process, realized what they were doing. And they're like, he's got to tell her off. He's got to be like, and aha!
Yeah, right.
I guess a human can do all this stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Me, who has been lying to you for 3 hours, questions your integrity. I'm not sure you have integrity. I'm going to get the spirit gum off my ears.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, this franchise has always been about characters who are trying to straddle two worlds. Spock was the template for that.
Yes.
But whether it's Spock or Worf or B'Elanna,
B'Elanna.
or even Data being somebody who feels like he's outside humanity, and yet it's so clear he's human. He's got so many human qualities.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about what they did to Data in Picard. It doesn't matter.
No.
I disagree with the premise totally. Actually, B'Elanna is a bad example because she literally is split into her Klingon and her human halves, and when she's a Klingon, she's like, "All my Klingon emotions," and then she's a human.
That was a bad episode.
Well, Voyager has a lot of things where they try to do something that TNG did, and TNG made an amazing statement about it, and they're like, "We'll do the wrong answer. Yeah. That'll be unique."
It is unique.
Yeah.
It's not a great story.
So
though.
I can't. Other than that, yeah, it was a funny episode. Like I really. Felt like it was overwritten, and I don't know why it's an hour long. And I think you and I were pointing out as we were watching it all the spots where it's like, you did that twice, just cut that. Yep. Why does every character have to explain what's happening in every scene? You know, she's like, "You guys, I have to fix Spock," and they're like, "What you're saying is you want to fix Spock, and we have to fly a thing to do it." She's like, "Will you fly the thing to fix Spock?"
We're doing this.
Let's get this to go.
Yeah.
Put my au jus in a cup.
Yeah.
0G. But that's just, I mean, you just have to accept that. That's just how we write now. So
I don't like that that's how we write now, because I think we were talking about, like, why are they explaining it so much? There's no subtext anymore. They're over explaining. Do they just...
There's subtext. They'll just...
Not a lot.
Well, there's subtext. A mayfly only lives a day. There's subtext until they explain it in its text.
Right.
So there's something subtextual.
Right.
And then they go, "Bet you didn't see that I did this." And you know what that means?
You don't know what I'm saying.
That means the point of this episode. What do you think? Do you think that being a Vulcan is biological? I don't mean like his green blood and, Vulcan DNA.
Right,
I'm just saying, like, is it cultural or not? I feel like they got that at the very end.
Yeah, I
when
think it
he
is
points
cultural.
out to she's T'Pring's mother. Wow. But
Yeah.
he points out to her, you know, the best Vulcan woman I know is standing right next to me, you know, and it's her. But she didn't do it. I mean, this character is like, you know, it's been around since the original series. Like, we know who this character is.
Yeah.
They don't explain that because I don't think that she did a lot in the episode. She just kind of comes in and she's like, Spock, why are you wearing that hat?
Yeah.
And why is, because you want to sell them on StarTrek.com? Makes sense. Why is the insignia, why is the insignia backwards?
I don't
know. Is that
know.
some inside joke, or is it so people can see you in your rearview mirror and they go, oh, it's Star Trek? It's the wrong way around.
Why would you do that?
It's the wrong way around.
It's really weird.
But I don't feel like she did like all that much in the episode other than show that she has worked in a kitchen and she can handle hot things. Do you know what I mean? Like, did I miss like a conversation they had where she really sort of like flips his cookie and she's like, tell you something about being a human on Vulcan. You got to boop-a-doop.
Well, she said something about like she learned to suppress her pain. I think that's like the one thing.
Yeah, but that's a physical thing.
Yeah, and then she was like, "You have to sell it," and
because
she's like teaching him how to lie, and like,
they made a meal out of that.
And I was like, she was like, "This is something I should have done a long time." He's honest. You like that about him. You like that about Vulcans.
Yeah.
What?
But plus, like, I mean, like, what's a lie? Like, a lot of people, there's a fan theory that like Spock just made that up, like because he's always lying about stuff.
That's actually hilarious.
He's not telling you he's got a sister and a brother, and
well, that's true.
It's a lie of omission, which he would point out is logically not a lie.
Right.
That's just something you have fun with.
Yeah.
But he can, like, if he's captured by the Romulans and they go, give us the shield code, he could say, I'm not going to give you the shield code. Or he'll say, it's, 666, shove it up your ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, he can, he's he lied to Joan Collins. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's like there, so he can lie.
Yeah.
He can use subterfuge, you know, in espionage.
We've seen him do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a dumb rule. But anyway, my point is that if I could see if you've got a blood fever because you've got the Plocto going on, or if you're a Klingon and you have like, whatever they have in their limbic system that like makes them rage all the time.
Yeah.
That can make sense. But like a Vulcan, as he points out, they have bigger emotions.
Yes.
If his brain mind is in a different meat, but it's still the brain, he's so used to suppressing emotions, it's comical.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just like, we want to give Ethan Peck a chance to show his range.
Yes.
He's funnier than you think he is. He's funny.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Because you had a pleasant evening with him, you feel like we can't criticize him.
No.
I don't think that he's the comedy genius.
No, he's not.
That they think he is, or at least the script is not giving him the chance to be that.
No.
But they thought, like, we're going to pull a Hemsworth. We're going to let him go in there and really knock it out of the park. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the lines were like, that's timed to be a funny thing, but I feel like the sophistication could be upped a little bit.
Yeah.
You can do something funny. I wrote down some of the things that I thought were really funny. I don't remember where they are. But anyway, he did say some funny things, but a lot of it he was just like, "Go," and you're like, "Oh, this cute guy, he doesn't usually do this. It's funny."
Yeah, right.
It's Chris Hemsworth.
It was like, I thought it was kind of funny when he runs into Chapel in the hallway and asks her about a bad day, and he kind of like awkwardly holds out his hands and like kind of like gives her a hug. It was just kind of like...
And did I get the dialogue wrong? She's like, how are you handling it? Is it okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm not crying in the shower.
Yeah.
The joke, he's telling a joke. The joke would be, yeah, I mean, I cry in the shower. Like, that's the joke.
Yeah, you're right. It's better the way you put it.
But did I get the wording wrong?
No.
Well, I don't know why they wrote it.
He said, I don't always cry in the shower. And then he said, I'm kidding.
Is this show funny?
No, because...
Not this episode. I mean, like, has it been funny?
Some jokes, but I think...
Name one.
I don't know. But
I did like when...
Ortegas.
Ortegas was... Ironically, I thought Ortegas was a lot better this week than she was last week when they were asking her to try to sell some bad dialogue. But...
I mean, trying to sell bad dialogue.
But I like the idea of the three of them taking this mission. And also, so many hats in this episode. They set up in the very beginning so they can do all this. Hey, for absolutely no good reason, we are going 5 miles an hour the entire way. So we've all got time to do stuff. So that means that they can just grab a shuttle and go, we're going on an adventure to save Spock.
Yes.
And so they go out there. I don't care how they got out there. I just thought it was fun when they were finally out there.
I did too.
And then they're trying to figure everything out. And they're like, oh, I want to do it. Well, I'm not sure. And she's like, oh, you're going to let me decide? I get to do a loop-de-loop? Obviously, I'm going to pick that.
I know. That was great.
Yeah, that's fun.
That was really fun. And I think
because she's a pilot. She flies the ship.
Yeah, I'm not, you know how I feel about that. I feel like they could have done way more with her character last week and shown us way more about.
She'd say, I feel the need for warp speed.
Yeah, right. Anything. Like, I mean, just say, like, I'm the pilot. I fly a ship once. And then, like, you know, I don't know, show us anything else that, you know, about Ortega's and her life, you know?
Do you think that the Kevorkians, that can't be right, but that's what I'm
that
going with.
Cannot be right.
Were inspired by a writer having to call Comcast and get his cable fixed?
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
As somebody who's talked to a lot of customer service people, I was like, oh,
and that
this
lady
is very
too.
Familiar.
She has I don't know if she's done like that. She had a really good customer service voice.
She did.
She sounded like one of those computers. That's a compliment.
Yes.
But like, I have a podcast called Backtrekking. Oh, here he goes. And one of the things that we do is we look at the inspirations of Trek episodes, either explicitly because the writer said, I was doing this, or just implicitly because obviously you are doing the Cuban Missile Crisis or whatever it is. And we didn't actually get to have him on the show, but I was talking to Morgan Gendel, the guy that wrote The Inner Light. And he was talking about how he saw a Goodyear blimp and he was in a hotel room. He was staying somewhere. He was writing a thing. And he saw a Goodyear blimp and it was like, eat at Joe's or whatever. And he's like, I'm trying to enjoy like this beautiful California sunshine and I have to see this blimp. And it's almost like they can, boy, I hope someday they can't just beam ads right into my brain. That would be terrible. And he's like,
funny.
Paper. I need paper. You know, and then he's, and he wrote The Inner Light, which has nothing to do with Goodyear blimps. No. But it was inspired by something incredibly mundane and something that we can all relate to.
Yes.
But if you're a writer and you're like, God, I hate being it's almost like talking to an alien. Paper, I need paper. And then you're like, oh, and then they're like, oh, this guy, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have a receipt. You can't return your Spock.
Yeah.
Not enough metaphor.
Not enough metaphor.
Little too direct.
Yeah.
Little too relatable.
I also like, why are their names yellow and blue and they've never talked to humans before? I don't understand why.
I'm not talking because I'm trying to think of some symbolism. But I think it's just sort of like, I'm Apple 23. Like, I don't...
Yeah,
they don't have families.
They sound the same.
They just picked something that humans, blue. You like blue, or just a simple word, you know?
Right. And like, I think we talked to you earlier. No, that was yellow. I am blue.
And then the joke is that they're not color coded at all, and so they say it like you should understand. No, I'm yellow.
Right.
But they can't really sell it because they're not like emotional creatures, so it doesn't really. You can't show them being offended.
No. But I also feel like on the customer service note, sometimes you call somebody and you get transferred to somebody else and you have to explain everything all over again. And it's just like, oh, God, you know?
No, they completely captured all of that.
They did.
Next week, they're going to the Space DMV.
But you know what?
It's like the middle.
It's not interesting.
It's like the middle of Jupiter Ascending. They're like, wouldn't it be funny if an amazing space empire with many actors who work with Wachowskis are in it, and then all you have to do is wait in line in 3 different lines and fill out a form in triplicate, and then you become the Empress of Earth. And it's like, that's like an anecdote. I don't think it's like 10 minutes of a movie.
But that's what happened.
Do you know what I mean? Like that. That's relatable. None of us like waiting in line, but I don't know how that's like a cool movie.
It's not.
Yeah, and
really?
even if you're making a point, it's like that point could be very quickly made. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can feel every week you've been on the show before.
I have.
Every week I criticize the writing on the show.
And I
might know one or two of the writers.
Not
so
great.
It's not, but it's like I could feel the wheels turning. They're churning out all this stuff. I don't see anybody refining it. And I think the episode bloat is an example of that. I don't know why the episodes have to be so long. I don't think getting more is better. Like when you go through something and you draft it over and over again and you refine it, one of the things that you're doing is going, oh, well, that doesn't work. Or it's like, oh, I thought of a better joke for that joke.
Yes.
And like, I'm not saying that it's not being edited or drafted. I mean, obviously it is, but part of refining it is like getting something that is like honed. And especially now with like, they don't want to pay the actors and they don't want to pay people. And you think like a shorter episode would be better. Most comedies aren't an hour long, no commercials.
No, they're not.
They basically tried to make a sci-fi comedy short film, only short because it's not
2 hours.
80 minutes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but it's close.
Yeah.
It's 61 minutes long.
No, we've talked about this before too, but I really miss the 5-act TV episode structure. Yeah. But it works so well. And I just, like, I feel like with streaming, we're just moving away from that. But I feel like we're also, have we just given up on writers, like, critiquing writers? Or, like, how are young writers, like, learning how to write better is what I want to know. Because, like, I feel like, you know, like somebody like Ronald D. Moore, right?
Oh,
like
boy.
he
all right.
he earned his chops, you know?
White people always talk about Rocky Marciano. And Star Trek fans always talk about Ronald D. Moore.
Well, I was thinking about him the other day. Like he's such a good writer, and he started with Trek. He's
got his things that he does.
He does, but
I've watched a lot of Outlander. I haven't watched all of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you watch Outlander, something happens and you're like really surprised. And sometimes you're like, in 20 minutes, this guy's going to do that because that's a Ronald D. Moore move.
I'm not saying he's 100% unpredictable, okay? But he knows how to structure things, and he doesn't talk down to the audience, you know, and he's a good storyteller.
Are you worried that Akiva Goldsman thinks the audience is dumb or needs to be talked to?
Yes.
Now I have to watch A Winter's Tale.
That's a symptom.
I've made so many jokes about, or it's just Winter's Tale, about Winter's Tale. Winter's Tale is, so after winning
like the Shakespeare play?
No.
Oh.
No.
What is this?
After winning the Academy Award for A Beautiful Mind for screenwriting.
Yes.
And then going up and finishing his speech with, "That's why I have a beautiful mind." And at that point, trapdoor should open.
He did that?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Anyway, he had carte blanche. And so what he did with his blanc card is, is that he wrote and I think he directed it, directed his own movie called Winter's Tale. Okay. And it's about Colin Farrell. That's the year. It was 2005 or whatever. Colin Farrell is a thief who he falls in the water. So he falls in love with. He's a thief. I'm going to do this. We're not talking about Star Trek anymore.
Do it.
He's a thief who breaks into a house. He lives in Victorian times, or maybe like the 1910s or something like that.
Okay.
He breaks into this house. Yeah. He's going to steal the stuff. He's a cat burglar. But in the house lives a beautiful young woman, played by the daughter that left Downton Abbey because this was her big break and she was going to be a big movie star now.
Yeah. Where is she now?
Well, she didn't know she was going into Winter's Tale. And she is like sick. So it's like a reverse Secret Garden thing, right? So he comes to her, tells her about the outside world, but she's sick or something like that. Then she like dies, I think. Or maybe she doesn't die somehow. I don't know. Anyway, he falls in the river and comes out and it's modern times. Maybe he gets frozen like Captain America or something. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Okay.
And so he meets Jennifer Connelly, who, I don't know what her job is, but she takes him to the library and they look at microfiches and he learns about, the history of the world. And I think the girl he loved did die. Now, the whole time, his soul has escaped because he's a thief and an escape artist. And his soul has escaped. And so Russell Crowe plays a demon and he's also Russell Crowe, who is going to try to get his soul back. And at one point, he's not doing a good enough job. So the demon's boss, Satan, shows up to yell at him. Satan, played by Will Smith. Jennifer Connelly, as she usually does, is a single mother with a child in this film. And the child is definitely played by somebody who was a famous child actor then. And so anyway, the whole thing is, it's a disaster. It's his Book of Henry. It's the reason that he works in TV now. Yeah. Now, look, everybody can like make a mummy. Everybody, wait a minute. Are we realizing something we already knew about Star Trek?
I think we are.
Anybody can make a bad thing, but you're the one who's talking about where's the oversight? Where's the person who's going?
Yes.
Hey, not this one of these.
You
where's
need
our
to...
Ronald D. Moore figure?
Yes.
Where's our Hans Beimler? You know, where's our Renee Echeverria? You know,
yes.
Where are our guys who are trying to like? Yeah, I don't.
Who are the people who are fostering new young talent?
Nobody. And I think we've talked about this on the show before. That's just not the way things work anymore. And I mean that as a blanket statement, but specifically, I mean, you get a writer. We always laugh about how the guy who's getting coffee. Season 1 is like an executive producer in season 3.
Right.
But that's how it goes. That's why he's getting people coffee, because he knows that he'll be an associate producer by season 3. Because there are so many shows on, they can't keep these writers' rooms stocked. Mm-hmm. And so the path, if you are successful and you do a good job, which is to say you just turn out scripts on time, is that's your pipeline. So so we don't have that anymore. It isn't like, something else I was thinking about is like, in the old days, if you wanted a comedy episode, a comedy person would write it. They would at least write the premise, because they used to buy scripts. Yeah. So not Robin Williams, but bad example. But like Robin Williams would like write a script and they'd go, "Oh, this is funny," and then they would do it. Threshold came from Michael DeLuca. Michael DeLuca is now the co-president of Warner Brothers, but at the time he was the president of New Line Cinema, the horror movie studio, and Rick Berman saw him at Spago, and Michael DeLuca's a Star Trek fan, and he's like, I should write a Star Trek. And Rick Berman's like, that would be great for us. I'm the guy who had The Rock on this thing. That was more of a network thing, but still, they were trying anything they could. So
yeah, right.
It's not like it was always great back then, and it's like not great now.
No, it was never perfect by any means.
But I do think that the show lacks a guiding hand.
I think so too.
And I feel like the guiding hand was present for the most part in Prodigy, the show that they just canned.
Yeah.
I feel like
Me too.
Felt like that gave everybody complains about how we don't do enough, week to week stories. That's definitely why we're getting the kind of stories we're getting this year on Strange New Worlds. You had it already. It was just a cartoon.
Yeah.
They were giving you week to week stories with a developing plot and a mythology that was pretty. I think the end was a little rushed, and they went to like, oh no, computers are taking over. We've only done that 4 times on 4 different shows.
All right,
but
that's a tired trope.
For the most part, was really really good and well shepherded, I think, to its goal.
Yeah, and not only that, you're getting young people into Trek. Yeah. Who, will see the show and maybe be interested in other Trek.
Person, and I saw Ethan Peck or Jess Bush, I'd be like, put the controller down.
Yeah, well,
I'm just gonna watch this. I think they appeal to young people.
They do, and young people can watch them. I watched TNG with my dad when I was young. So But I just feel like, and maybe this is the thought that you're having, or you can tell me if it's not. I feel like they are trying to please everybody. Yeah, and there are people today that don't like TOS that are Star Trek fans. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And there are people that definitely didn't like Star Trek when it was on. Yeah. So I think Isaac Asimov was like one of them. And then Gene Roddenberry wrote him and he's like, why are you like taking a crap on Star Trek? Right. Watch it a little closer. And then Asimov's like, oh, there are some very pinchable butts on there. I was not trying to set that up.
Oh my God.
Look it up.
Okay.
But he said, like, you know what? You're right. I thought I just dismissed it as, cardboard rubber monster claptrap, but it's more than that.
Oh, so he was doing a Scorsese, but he did a Mea Culpa and was like, oh, I was wrong.
I've not seen Mea Culpa. I've seen Kunlun. But is that a new one?
I just.
All right, well, let's wrap it up.
Okay. My concern about writing today, and not just young writers, but just like streaming writing, is a lot of it is mediocre or subpar. And it's really frustrating because I love watching media. I love watching TV. I get excited when I find a new show that I really like, and it's really hard to get excited about just about anything these days because it's just lackluster.
What if you were made into a Vulcan? Would you then automatically see the logic of of loving all these shows?
No, I think if I was a Vulcan, I wouldn't watch TV because I would think it was boring.
It just doesn't.
It
just doesn't work. If he
No.
was, if he became a Denobulan, actually, I don't know. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm married, but I got room for more.
Oh my god!
How come there's no Denobulans on this show? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. That was
Phlox.
Yes, I like Phlox. I liked him.
So anyway,
Anyways,
I don't like it. I'd like to just quickly check. What do you say? Check. Tip of the nod capping thing.
Tip of the hat.
To my why is this a conservative show? I feel like if I was going to write a show in space and I, let's say, wasn't a liberal franchise like Star Trek, I'd be like, you have to be this way because obviously your green blood means that you're very smart and logical about everything. And it's like, is that it? And like I said, the show saves itself at the end by going, man, you're a good Vulcan L-word lady.
Yeah.
But it's really spend a lot of time being
racist,
speciesist.
Yeah.
Before you go, but that's okay.
T'Pring's mom was just awful. Like, it's
a trope.
This room, it has an awful smell.
It's the like, mother-in-law. It's a trope. How do you feel about? I guess we've been doing this for a while, but like, I thought we. What's up with the Goy Vulcans? That's what I want to know. Do you know what I mean?
What?
For like a long time. I mean, I suppose we've had Goy Vulcans for a while now, but I just feel like this is supposed to be TOS. Can't we get back to
the Jewish Vulcans?
Yeah.
Because Nimoy was Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad.
Yeah.
The whole thing about him marrying a Shiksa, that was the whole thing. All of his people are like, ugh.
That's actually a very valid point now that you bring it
up. That was the whole... We want to talk about subtext. That was the subtext. But now it's all like, your DNA makes you think, and then you have the
I never got that. I never got that before.
What are you?
Jewish.
But quality?
Half. I'm a free-range Jew, as you like to say.
Good or bad?
Good or bad? What do you mean?
Bad.
I'm a bad Jew. All right.
Okay. So, any other thoughts? I think we've had a lot of thoughts.
I think we've had a lot of thoughts.
Why can't T'Pring be an asshole?
She can be an asshole. I like the actress who plays T'Pring too. More of the love triangle.
Me too. There's not much to play. I know that they're not going to break up like right now, and I think the writers are pulling their hair out. Like, when do we pull the trigger on this, right?
Yeah.
Because you want, first of all, they would love to have 10 seasons. They would love to come right up to the point where Pike, says she's all yours, and then that terrible actor who plays Kirk, who is not a Jew, by the way.
I remember something
accepts
I wanted to say.
And then they just go on. I know they want to do that the whole way. But my point is that she can be somebody who is not great.
Yeah.
And we don't want him to be with.
Yeah.
And there are people who are like that already. And there are also people who are just like playing the odds. They're not even odds, are just looking to the future and going, he won't be with her. And I think they think it's more tragic if like she is a good person and circumstances pull them apart. But she could just be an asshole. You know what I mean?
She could, yeah.
Like, it's totally fine. And there aren't a lot of levels to play. I'm not saying just like play she's just an asshole. But
no,
like,
don't write her like, you wrote
they're
her
writing,
mom.
but they're writing her like a that's a little much.
Yeah.
But they're writing her like a hero, like a main character.
Yeah.
And I don't think that everybody needs to be a main character, because Trek has this a lot, and the newer shows of Trek have this a lot. None of the main characters are allowed to make any mistakes or do anything bad. There's one character that made one mistake in all of New Trek, and it was Michael Burnham.
She was a huge mistake too.
But according to her logic, it was not. And honestly, everything worked out. I mean, she had to be there the entire time to make sure it worked out, and she fixed it at the end. But and every other character, it's like we can't feel bad about our characters anymore. And all the time in old Trek, our characters would do things and you would go, oh my God, why did you do that?
Yes.
But then the character has to live with that choice, and it adds depth to their character. And all of our characters, like children's stories or fairy tales, every time have to go, I don't know about this. And they go, but I'm going to do it. And then they do it. And we all sit in the bar and we talk about how it's great that we did the right thing.
Which is boring because you know what? Life is messy.
It is.
And you make mistakes.
So
everybody makes mistakes.
We know that she's so bad, like when we see her in TOS, that she tries to get Spock killed or Spock's captain killed. She doesn't care which.
No. So how does
she make it to there?
Right.
She's so
thing.
kind, and she's so warm, and she's so smart now. Like, it's okay for him to just. They were betrothed. He didn't pick her. Do you know what I mean? Like, she could just be. Her family's terrible. She's like trying to be a good person, but goes down this road of being terrible. And she's terrible. Also, where the hell's Cybok? Come on.
Bring Cybok.
Oh my
God, I forgot that.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
I want Cybok.
I know, me too.
We want Cybok now. And one more thing.
Okay.
Sam Kirk, he was only in it for this tiny little bit. But he was great. I wish they had him play Kirk. I'm going to say it. I liked him 10 times more than I like Kirk.
Kirk, yeah.
Kirk's awful. I'm sorry.
They're literally twins, right? So
they're supposed to be identical.
Well, I don't think that they ever say that they're identical, but when we see
Shatner
George Kirk,
played both
when they see George Kirk on screen, he is just William Shatner.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know who Paul Wesley knows or how he pulled it off. Saw that thing in was it Esquire with him, who's like holding the Enterprise, being charismaless like he is. Come on the show, Paul. We'd love to talk to you.
There's the show.
Well, it reminds me of when Roddenberry posed with the Enterprise. It's like, oh, he wants to take a big bite out of that thing. But you're absolutely right. He's funny, and I bet he could play serious too. Yeah. I bet he could, jut his jaw out and do the thing. But I did like that he's a slob. It's like, clean up your plate. It's like, the robot will do it. Robot! So, I don't know. Let's stop because we could go all night. That's it for the show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage are released. Tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage or email us at EISTPOD@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, go to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to the show and give us a rating and a review. It really does help us out. And really, if you like the show, tell a friend about it. Share it on your social media. Discoverage will return next week on July 20th at 8 p.m. for the 6th episode of Strange New World's second season. That's an episode entitled Lost in Translation. So I think it's going to be Uhura and Sam Kirk are stuck in a hotel on Andoria for a couple days.
Oh, God.
And at the end of it, he goes, and we don't know what he says. And she doesn't know because she's got the thing in her ear, too. I think that's the plot. She's like, no. That's the plot for that one.
It will definitely be an horror episode, though. I predict that
translation,
yeah.
We'll be here.
Good.
She's smart. We'll be here next Thursday to cover it. We'll be going live once again at 8 p.m. Central. Join us then and follow us on Facebook at EISTPOD or on Twitter to get notified when we're live and broadcasting. And if you're watching us on Twitch here, hey, hit the heart, hit the bell right there below the video at the bottom. That's how you, she's not this side. That's how you get notified when we're live and broadcasting. We'd appreciate that. Thanks for joining me to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Thank you for having me.
Remind people where they can find you online.
Yeah. I am at justenoughdtrope.com. And also our other show, Sailor Noob, we're on social media at noob_sailor. Look for us. We will be there. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it.
Mastodon, Blue Sky.
Threads. I am going to have to be reminded a million
times.
Do they
know
if it's
that
Threads
is a UK TV miniseries about the World War III apocalypse?
I didn't know that.
They think about that at all?
No.
Okay.
Isn't there a t-shirt printing business called Threads?
Sure. Mine was better.
Yours was better.
That's it for. I'm on Twitter at KA1IBAN. And of course, you can find all the shows on the Just Enough Trope Network at Just Enough Trope on Twitter or justenoughtrope.com. That's it for us this week. Thanks for listening. We are signing off. This is Aaron Formica saying, live long and prosper.